Next up, it's Brian Murphy, co-founder and CEO at Loeffler Randall, and Emma Wooley, press and marketing manager at Loeffler Randall, interviewed by Rich Garner, VP Worldwide Strategic Partnerships at Klaviyo. Brian and Emma are here to talk about contextual commerce and how Klaviyo helped them build true customer loyalty.
Let's do interpretive dance. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Rich Gardner. I'm the VP of Partnerships at Klaviyo, which means I look after our ecosystem of partners, our consultants and services partners, our app partners, and our e-commerce platform partners, many of whom are here today. So hello, everybody. But that's not the role that I'm here for today. So before we jump in, for those of you who don't know Klaviyo, we are a unified customer platform specializing in email and SMS. And what our technology does is it helps brands collect, analyze, and act on data that they need to build really successful email and SMS campaigns. Today, I am fortunate to be here with one of our customers, Loeffler Randall, and the team I'm going to introduce in a second. I have Brian Murphy, co-founder and CEO at LR, and Emma Wooley, senior manager of press and marketing. Welcome, folks.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
I have to start with, last night I was at an event, and unprompted, 3 people at the event came up to me when they found out that I was going to be sitting in this seat with the 2 of you today and told me how much they love your brand and they love your products.
That's so nice to hear.
Yes.
It's working. The emails are working.
It's working. Clearly you're onto something. But Brian, for those that aren't familiar with LR, tell us a little bit about the brand and your customers.
Sure. We started the brand about 16, 17, 18 years ago now. Historically, this brand was always rooted in wholesale. DTC is a giant primary selling channel for us, was nascent, really kind of didn't exist. My wife and I founded the business together. And it's been a lot of different iterations, and I would say this current version is the most, what would you say, biggest, strongest, most empowered version that we've had.
And Emma, tell us a little bit about how you think about your customer today, and how do you start to build relationships with that LR customer?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like as Brian said, the brand's been around for 18 years, and I think it's an exciting time for the brand as, like a slightly more mature brand in our market, because we have people who are loyal customers who have been shopping with us for almost 2 decades, and they kind of know some of our classics, and then we have new customers who are coming to us maybe, for their first big job interview or for a wedding, and we're kind of getting them earlier along in their life. So we're kind of designing for people at all different stages of their life at this point. And I think that gives us a lot of opportunity in marketing just to really think about all of those touch points, and we really think about moments more so than product. We have recently done some customer research that I would just recommend to anyone in marketing, like before you put together a strategy. I think doing focus groups, even if they're really informal, getting to know people on more of a qualitative level has been really, really helpful for us. But we took away a lot of softer insights that have really helped us to approach our marketing differently. Like, yes, we're selling fashion, but we've also learned that our customer is a daydreamer, and they really like to be able to envision themselves in this product and see that they're going to be able to wear it on vacation, but they can wear it on the subway. And so those kinds of insights have really helped us to tailor our marketing strategy more. They're broad, but we can take them into a more specific place.
I love that, starting broadly. Your customer is a daydreamer. I can't imagine the kinds of challenges you have marketing to a daydreamer. But let's get tactical for folks, because there are a lot of folks in this room who want to take some lessons from this session away. With your email and SMS campaigns, you have remarkable engagement rates, something like 60% engagement rates. Emma, tell us about some of the tactics you actually put into motion to drive that kind of engagement with your customers.
Yeah, so I think for us, content is so important, and we're really thoughtful in how we do everything at the company. We don't cut corners. We really put a lot of thought into what we're putting out there. And Jessie, our founder, when we're reviewing things with her, she's always like, what is the value add? Like, if someone gets this email, what value are we actually adding to their lives? What understanding on a deeper level are they getting of our product or our brand? And so we never really send emails or SMS that are just like, product, here it is, with no context. We really try to contextualize everything. And so, for instance, I was telling Rich last week, we sent 4 emails. There was a very product-focused kind of new release telling you about a shoe. And then we had a Jessie Loves Summer email that was our founder's current favorite things. And a lot of them weren't our product. It was that she loves gardening and she's listening to this murder podcast. And that was actually our highest performing email across all KPIs. So an email like that went to a blog post actually did generate a lot of revenue for us last week. So I think just don't underestimate your customer and know that if you have like a story to tell and there's more of a lifestyle around the brand, that can actually be more resonant than any product that you're putting into market.
It's really a remarkable thing, the relationship that you must build with your customers, the community you must build, has to be strong for you to send marketing emails that include other people's products. I mean, there might not be competitive products, but they're Jessie's favorites. And you found that was a really high-performing message. That's pretty remarkable.
Very counterintuitive strategy, I know.
Brian, how do you think about encoding your brand into your customers? Like, how is it that you mesh that daydreamer customer or that person who's interested in Jessie's favorites with what you're trying to create on the brand side?
Well, I think, we've always been fortunate where rooted in footwear, we're not really, I don't think we've ever wanted to be dressing someone head to toe. So, and we've also really been fortunate where women who are attracted and driven to the brand always have had this like incredible innate sense of style, confidence, savoir faire. They out of the customer learning. Most of these women, are tremendously accomplished, are self-starters, and so for us, we really kind of rely on their own sense of taste and we're kind of just a part of a larger universe that they've built. And so I think encoding, that's like a really heavy word. I think we're just kind of trying to be like a piece, a part of, the style and how they're kind of approaching day to day.
And you're authentic, right? That's a word that I think maybe gets overused in some places, but how do you?
I think we're like authentic to a fault, but
say more.
Well, it's a founder-driven business. It's a creative-driven business. And I think that we're willing to kind of let people into like how Jessie lives her life, and I don't think we shy away from, challenges or difficulties and real life moments. I think like some of that you can see through Jessie's posts on cultural issues and so, I think historically these brands are really rooted in like a real sense of like polish and they're almost a little esoteric, where I think we're a lot the opposite of that.
Well, it seems to be working. Whether it's overly authentic or whatever the right word is for that, or something else, you clearly have been able to build relationships with that person receiving your email and your SMS. But you're doing that at scale, right? I don't know how many customers you have, but clearly you're doing this at scale. So like, how do you, as a business that wants to be able to build relationships at scale, how do you communicate effectively with that large an audience? Like, what is it that drives success there?
I think that diversifying the content is really important. I don't expect that every single communication from us will resonate with every single person. So, I think we have people who maybe don't care as much about the story of the brand and they just want to see like beautiful products. So it's like, okay, we're going to have the most beautiful imagery. And then, it kind of drives us to be better in some ways because we know that like we can't just do one thing really well. We do have to make sure that that content strategy is diverse enough that we're kind of like hitting all the right notes every week. So we do really zoom out, look at the calendar on a whole and make sure that we're not just kind of becoming too repetitive or one note. And I think that really helps us to maintain a relationship with customers who are at different stages of their life or have really different processes in making their purchasing decisions.
I think this is an interesting point. We were talking about it in the green room beforehand, Brian, but you were mentioning, and I'm going to paraphrase, but you're talking a little bit about how your background is in creative, right, in advertising firms, less so in traditional marketing. And I'm wondering, how has that informed some of what you do with the business, that expertise in creative that you bring to the company?
That's a great question. I think mostly that has to do with sort of expectation levels and then discipline level in terms of, staging, testing, publishing the content, right? So agency backgrounds are phenomenal for that, right? And then the second part is sort of understanding what the brand is and what really performs. Content around Jessie, beautiful wife of mine, always, knock on wood, has always performed. So I think, knowing who we are and knowing who we aren't, I think are two, main kind of understandings that we have through agency background. And, I would say that being able to work fast and being able to work at scale, I think is also, when you're at agency, so I was at Ogilvy, right? Working at IBM, we're working at scale, always having the idea of a wider, and I think a lot of brands kind of get bogged down into, how am I going to reach scale? Having that kind of mentality has been super helpful for us.
It's great. Thank you for sharing that. Related, but actually, also something that you said in the back that I'm curious about. This is spur of the moment, not in the script.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You mentioned in the back not cutting corners, like an ethos at the business, and it was in context of creative, which is what made me think of it. Say a little bit more about what that means for your business and how it might apply to folks in the room. Either one of you.
Sure. I think that ethos really filters down from, I can honestly say that our company is very design-led. Everything kind of gets yay or nayed by Jessie and her team at the end of the day, and I'm really here to support their vision and, kind of take what they've created on this really elevated level and make it marketable and something that we can sell really well. And I think the way that looks in the day-to-day of marketing is if we have a concept for a styling story that we think we really need to sell a shoe that might feel a little forward for our customer, we'll style out a whole shoot around it and take our time and make sure that we have the best in class content that we feel like we need instead of just recycling the same image. I see there's kind of a copy-paste template way of sending brand emails around new arrivals or whatever, where you're just kind of plugging in product and sending, and we really hand pick everything that's in all of our communications. So we go through multiple rounds of review for everything. We take it really seriously, and we just want to make sure that everything is presented in the best possible light, because there are really high standards, and that comes down from design. I think we really take our time with things, but also work on a quick timeline. So
it's not I don't know if it's not the easiest way to work. I think that a lot of this is in my part of the world, which is product development, production, and ethical supply chains, and credible sourcing, and really being able to speak to these really, I would say, critical pieces moving forward. With authority and actually have vetted and done as much possible. And I think also, I always love the fact that if I see someone wearing the product, it's 3 years old, it's 5 years old, it's 8 years old. I'm always that is well made. I know where it was made. I know who made it. You know, I know how much it cost me. You know, like, and you know, I think we've made a real investment in this kind of, you know, product production, publishing cycle that is worthy of what we're charging.
That's great. That's great insight to share with the group. Let's get tactical again for a second, and let's talk about. So, your brand is well known, especially for special occasions, and an iconic shoe in particular. I'm curious, Emma. This is probably more for you, but how do you use email, SMS marketing to retain customers beyond that purchase for a special occasion? How do you think about that?
You mean like when we have someone who comes to us for the first time, they're buying a special occasion
Exactly.
shoe, what comes next? Well, we do have trigger emails. I think we haven't really spoken about that, but I kind of love our like beautiful trigger emails that we put into place that just kind of check in with the customer. So we have like the after 90 days, if you haven't purchased with us, we seasonally refresh like a really beautiful email with an offer for 15% off your next order. So I think just having those kinds of marketing tools that like check in with somebody and just remind them like, hey, you got that beautiful event shoe with us, but we actually do so much more than that. We are growing other categories. We also have really popular casual product, and then we're growing ready to wear. So I think it's just kind of reminding them about the brand, reminding them of a special experience that they had with us, and then showing them what else we have to offer, because, you know, the fashion calendar, we refresh every season. So every 3 months we have a whole new collection, and the site is totally changed. And I think that just gives us an opportunity 4 times a year to kind of check in and be like, hey, like we have all of this beautiful new world that we've kind of created for you. So just making that feel as like exciting as possible, and, you know, again, connecting with that daydreamer element of showing her like, oh, you can plan now for the trip that you're taking, or, you know, there are other moments that we can be there for you. So yeah, some of those more tactical things like trigger emails, as well as we really love direct mail, retargeting from the site. So, you know, people who have been on our site or whatever, like we send them a postcard. So, you know, some of those kind of more programmatic things we really like as well.
It's also the biggest challenge we have for 23, like by far and away. I mean, the brand is, you know, we've grown so much kind of Q4 20 on. You know, just this insane amounts of compounded growth. That's why we're really trying to build that team now.
Yep, and that's a good segue, actually. The growth of the last couple of years as a challenge. I think it's a challenge many of us would trade for, right? Lots of fast growth. A lot of people in the room would probably trade for that. But in our final couple of minutes, Brian, I think this is for you at least first. You know, what does the future hold for LR? And what advice do you have for the group in this very hot room today?
I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so you know, what does the future hold? You know, I think we love the idea of physical retail as a kind of DTC marketing channel, essentially. However, the biggest learning in that's four-wall profitable. I think physical representations of the brand is important now more than ever. I think it's going to be hard to innovate in product imagery. That feels really dense and really flooded to me. Like I've never seen more quality imagery like in a row on my feed. So that's harder and harder to do. You know, I think for us, it's innovating into new categories. Like, so we're back in apparel at loefflerrandall.com. And you know, the footwear has always been a big core part of the business. Is like the hero, and we're lucky we have this, you know, event-driven business. But you know, what are the next events? You know, to be told. But you know, it's been great. You know, fast growth is weird. You know, it hasn't been like this in forever. So.
Thanks, Brian. Emma, any closing thoughts, advice for the group?
Yeah, I mean, I think closing advice is like these solutions aren't one size fits all, and you have to kind of zoom out sometimes and really think about your brand on a high level. And I think doing any kind of brainstorming around that is always really helpful. Like you have to start from that deep understanding, and get a little creative. It can't all be like very straightforward solutions.
I love it. Thank you both. Thanks, Emma. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.